Welcome to School of Seeds, a podcast based in Beacon and inspired by the Hudson Valley. We talk about gardening tips, nature information, and outdoor adventures. While it's cold outside in late March, you might be surprised by the plants that were growing just as spring had begun. That's what I learned when I took a stroll down just one part of Stonykill Farm's Woodland Trail. After seeing over a dozen amazing specimens, I returned home just as it started to rain. I hope that my findings encourage you to visit Stonykill Farm and to start looking closely at the land around you. Just a few days after my walk, I learned that Stonykill Farm is offering a nature walk in April. Please support them by visiting stonykill.org. If you hover your mouse over their education link and then click on workshops and outings, you'll find a list of events, including their Woodland Wildflower Walk. Check the link in the description of this episode to sign up. By the way, I'm not a botanist, so sometimes my plant or fungi identifications are wrong. I do extensive research to prevent mistakes, but still, no one is perfect. If you notice something wrong, submit a comment below. I'll make a correction in the comments or video description for future viewers. Now, let's get back to our mini walk adventure. The first flower I spotted was Snowdrops. Specifically, this appears to be a Galanthus aloesi var. Monostictus. There are several varieties of snowdrops, and I encourage you to look them up because they're really elegant and beautiful. Snowdrops aren't native to the area. They came from Europe and the Middle East, but they have naturalized here. They are known for being one of the first flowers to emerge in late winter or early spring, signaling the change of the seasons. They are common in the northern U.S., but are sadly threatened or critically endangered in many countries. They are a great source of nectar and pollen for bees during a time of year where flowers can be hard to find. The next flower I saw was Acela siberica, also known as a Siberian squill. This flower also isn't native to the area, but it has naturalized here. It is considered invasive in some areas in the Midwest, but it doesn't seem to be as aggressive in New York, perhaps due to our cold winters. The squill is native to Russia, Turkey, and the Caucasus. They are another source of nectar for bees in early spring. Despite growing to just 3 to 6 inches tall, these flowers can naturally grow into a speckled sea of blue, just like this. The next plant I saw is also technically a flower, at least in its second year of life, but it's invasive. And it's called garlic mustard. Garlic mustard is an aggressive and invasive herb in New York. In this image, we're looking at garlic mustard in its first year of growth, where rosettes of leaves form. If it continues to grow, then it will flower next year, produce seeds, and die. Originally from Europe and Asia, it was first recorded in New York in the 1860s. Where does its name come from? The leaves smell like garlic when they're crushed. And yes, it's edible, but always make sure you know what a plant is before eating it. When in doubt, consult a botanist. This next finding isn't a plant at all, it's a fungi. I believe this is hoof fungus, which is also known as tinder conch, tinder polypore, and tinder bracket. It's also known as Fomes fomentarius. This mushroom can be found throughout the world. While the name hoof fungus comes from the hoof-like shape of its fruiting body, it has another name, tinder fungus. Why? In the past, this mushroom's inner fibrous flesh was used as tinder to start fires. And if you think that's cool, take a look at these mushrooms we found nearby. Now, at first glance, I thought these might be a mushroom known as artist's conch, also known as Ganoderma applanatum. However, upon closer inspection and more research, I actually think it's a mossy maize polypore, also known as Serena unicolor. This mushroom can also be found throughout the world. One of the most fascinating things about it is how it uses female wasps of the Tremex genus to spread its spores. When the female wasps bury into nearby wood, the mushroom spores enter the wasp's ovipositor, where its eggs are carried. The mushrooms germinate where the eggs are laid, and when the larvae hatch, they eat the mushroom's mycelium, which is a root-like structure. The mushrooms that we see above ground are actually a fruit that the structure creates, which is why when you pluck a mushroom, you're not actually killing the fungi, because you're actually just picking the fruit. This connection between the mushroom and the female wasps shows how both species work together to bring forth the next generation. The next mushroom on our list is turkeytail, also known as Trametes versicolor. Turkeytail is a common North American mushroom. You can find them on fallen logs or tree stumps in the woods, breaking down decaying wood and making space for new forest life. If you find one outside of the summer to fall season, it's probably an older specimen. Not too far from these mushrooms is another mushroom that looks very similar. I'm fairly certain that this is false turkeytail, also known as Sterium austria. And this mushroom is known for looking like a turkeytail look-alike. It's also native to North America and loves decaying wood in the forest. So, how do you tell the difference? Well, true turkeytail has small pores on the underside of the mushroom, while false turkeytail has a flat surface under the mushroom. Plus, while turkeytail has a range of colors, false turkeytails are often found in bright orange hues, like this one. Farther down the path, I found this mushroom that initially didn't look like a mushroom, so I nearly passed it off as something else, but in fact, it is fungi. This is King Alfred's cake, also known as coal fungus, and its botanical name is Daldinia concentrica. This common mushroom is also known as cramp balls or coal fungus. It can be found on decaying wood in North America, South America, and Europe, but it also has other purposes, including being used as tinder and serving as a food source for moth caterpillars. The darker the color, the better it performs as tinder. And not too far from this mushroom, I found something I had never seen before, and it was amazing yet strange. This flower is known as skunk cabbage, Symplocarpus foetitis. One of the first signs of spring, this flower's unusual shape makes it an alien yet interesting find. It loves growing in boggy areas, and after its flower fades, clumps of cabbage-like leaves appear. When crushed, these leaves smell like skunk and attract pollinators, which is what inspired its name. This unique perennial is difficult to move once established, so if you wanted to grow your own, plant it in a permanent location. As I continued down the path, I found myself in a field where I found this flower, the hairy bittercress weed, also known as Cardamine hirsuta. This invasive weed, which is part of the mustard family, typically acts as an annual in New York, but it can act like a biennial when the conditions are right. Due to its strong root systems and seed pods, it can quickly produce colonies of blooms. On the bright side, it's a source of pollen and nectar for bees and butterflies. It's also edible, so long as you don't mind the bitter taste. These have completely taken over the lawn of one of my neighbors. At this point, it was raining, and I decided to start heading out of the trail. But I quickly found these daffodils, which look like Narcissus Dutch Master. While daffodils are native to areas like Europe and North Africa, they seem to be beloved everywhere. They naturalize well in New York, which makes them even more of a garden favorite. They support bees and butterflies, are low maintenance, and they even self-propagate. So, if you want more, all you have to do is let them do their thing. Or you can divide their bulbs and encourage even more growth. Right next to these daffodils, I found this Forsynthia. It looks like it's a Forsynthia viridissima broxensis, which is a deciduous shrub in the olive family Oleaceae. This beautiful shrub, while not native, has been planted throughout New York and naturalized nicely. It's an easy-to-grow perennial that is often used around garden borders. There are debates about whether Forsynthia produces enough pollen or nectar to truly be a bee-friendly plant. However, their early spring blooms are often used to lure bees to gardens, where they can take interest in other flowers that are growing nearby. And lastly, as I was walking to my car, I found this. Now, unlike everything else in this video, I have no idea what this is, but I thought I would add it because maybe one of you knows what it is. It's this brown, chunky mushroom. It wasn't even attached to the ground. It kind of looked like it was kind of swept up in the wind, maybe. And it was just chilling by the fence on the side of the field. So, yeah, I have no idea what that is, but it's pretty big and it looked really interesting. Maybe one of you knows what it is. Thank you for joining me on this virtual mini walk. As mentioned before, please head to stonykill.org to support them and their April Nature Walk. And if you'd like to hear more things from us here at School of Seeds, check us out at schoolofseeds.com, where we have a ton of ways that you can support the podcast. And of course, if you'd like to stick around and get to know us better, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to click the bell so you get notified when we post future podcast episodes and YouTube videos. Thank you for watching, and remember, everything starts small.